All right. So I wanted to go ahead and go over how you're going to access this document. So there are two ways to change the view. You can see these shapes on the left-hand side. To have a better view of your work, you're going to go to View and zoom to 100%. So to do that, you can press on this magnifying glass that has a plus on it, and you can switch that to 100%. Or in your toolbar, you can go to View, Zoom, and 100%. Okay, before I do that, I want to remind you that you have to start your story with a hook or a narrative lead. Those are two sentences that are going to grab the reader's attention and make them want to read your story. So if you click on there's like a hyperlink, right? And that will take you to the narrative leads PDF. You can start with an action, an exciting action that's grabbing your reader's attention, a sound that gets the reader's attention and brings them into the event. You can start with dialogue where characters are speaking about important information and events events for your character. You can start with a philosophical question that maybe your character is thinking or wondering. You can start with flashback, which is mentioning an important event from the past that will be important to your story now. Or you can start with description, which is when you use vivid words to describe a scene or event that will help the reader picture what's happening. So when you're giving your hook, you're going to highlight it in orange. So I think Demi is starting with flashback, right? Demi, do you think you're starting with flashback, information that the characters the reader needs to know?
I don't know.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and zoom Demi's to 100%. She has a long exposition paragraph because she's giving information that is important to the reader. Make sure that the information right here is correct. It should be your first and last name, your teacher's name, the period, and the date. And I'll go ahead and so she's starting with description. Right now, there's no real hook for Demi because she's starting with description. So really, this one could be her hook.
I think the second sentence is kind of natural.
Right. The first and second sentence, we're going to go ahead and change this to me. I don't know if I have the ability to do that. To orange. Okay, because that's your hook. It says, in a small secluded town fenced off from the outside world lives a society of women. Men are made to live outside the bounds of this society. A long time ago, men and women lived together in harmony until there was a worldwide pandemic that affected most of the men. This caused heartache for wives and girlfriends because men began to behave erratically. They lost sense of reality, and many became violent against their loved ones. This caused Rebecca Alder to decide that she would buy a plot of land and begin a female-only society, safe from those afflicted with toxic tank disease 20. It's like a pandemic like COVID-19, but it's called toxic tank 20. Cameras were established around the perimeter of the town and in every room to help ensure that the women there could be kept safe against infected male trespassers. Years later, cameras are still in effect in all rooms. However, the RAG, Rebecca Alder government, has created multiple new rules to ensure the safety of every girl and woman in their town. So she goes on in her exposition to say, it was December of 3038. A group of teens decided they would no longer passively accept the unjust law that allows cameras to track their every move. This group of friends decided that they were going to fight back. Chloe, Camilla, and Sasha were the oldest of many kids born soon after them. They all wanted friends their own age, and since it was a pretty small town, they befriended one another when they were 12 years old. They grew up the same way as many other kids in their society did, with the understanding of there being cameras everywhere to, quote, protect them, end quote. They were also different from other girls. They didn't have any interest in sports, coloring, dogs, or even toys for that matter. The only thing they all really liked was school, staying organized, and of course hanging out with each other. Once they turned 14, the girls collectively started to wonder why there were cameras everywhere. Each girl asked their mom about the origin of their women-only town. The moms told them to never speak of it again, so they didn't until they were having a sleepover and found a camera in the corner of Sasha's stylish room. This caused their concern to resurface. Once again, they told their moms about it. The moms then told them the whole truth. The girls then just lived with it until they were 17. At the age of 17, though, Camilla, Sasha, and Chloe decided enough was enough. They decided this because Camilla had found a camera in the restroom of Chloe's house. This time they were going to tell the government that they would no longer stand for such extreme levels of surveillance. A girl couldn't even feel safe using the restroom or showering in peace. Okay, so you can see that Demi highlighted her exposition. You're going to use your pre-writing. Demi, how helpful was it for you to use your story elements? Did you use the story elements chart when you were drafting your exposition?
Yeah, I actually did use it. It actually helped me a lot.
Did you also use your setting performance task, the graphic organizer with the four boxes? The setting performance task we did on Friday, did that help you as well? Okay, so make sure you're using your pre-writing work because it'll make it a lot easier. So in her sequence of events, she can add, right, in her exposition, the backstory of the town, right? And tank 20, right? What's it called? Toxic tank disease? It's a pandemic like COVID, but it only affects men, and it makes them crazy. Okay, and then that shows why there are cameras, right? Okay. So now she's going to start body paragraph number 1. And there should be a text box. There was text boxes inside your, yeah. So in body paragraph number 1, see how she's coding it red? Okay, body paragraph number 1 should be coded red. And you want to make sure that you are considering these directions that are on the left-hand side. Which event will this body paragraph focus on? Usually each body paragraph in a narrative focuses on one event or series of events. So she already knows what she's going to focus on because she highlighted those events from her plot diagram. Okay, so in her body paragraph number 1, teen girls want to report this to the president, and the girls will ask the president to remove the cameras. Okay, in body paragraph 2, she's going to be following the events of her rising action. Body paragraphs 2 and 3 are going to follow the events of the rising action that are going to lead to the climax, which is the most exciting part of your story, and it'll also be the most emotionally intense part. This experience will cause the characters to change. Okay, so hopefully you're doing battle with the unjust government in the climax, and then the society is going to change along with the characters that are helping it to change. Does that make sense? Demi is going to highlight the events, right? Highlight the paragraph, like there's a bar here for that. Highlight the paragraph and the events that she wants to include in her second body paragraph. If she wants more space and she doesn't want to write on the gray space, she can go to edit and duplicate. This will allow her to duplicate the slide, and then she can just delete delete the text box. I don't know if this is working. And delete the red bar because she has that in the slide above it. And she can delete her writing so that she's only focused on like whatever's coming after. Does that make sense? If she wants more space and she wants to write on a paper, she can do that. But if her paragraph isn't that long, then she won't need it. Does that make sense? Like if her second paragraph, right? If she's okay with it going down into the gray, that's fine. And if she wants more space and she wants to create a new slide, she can do that. Does that make sense? I just deleted it so that it's clear. All right, today you're working on body paragraphs 2 and 3. By the end of today, and I'll show you my quick example. By the end of today, we want for you, your third body paragraph looks exactly like the second. It's the same questions. However, for your third body paragraph, you'll notice that there's this fuchsia part that says, did you get to your story's climax by the end of this paragraph? And to prove that you did, you want to highlight in magenta, right, your climax of the story. In blue, I have coded paragraph 3. You're going to go ahead and put the sequence of events that are going to make up your third paragraph. And then highlight in magenta your climax.